UFC 308 is tomorrow morning for the watchers on the east coast of the USA, such as myself. My name is Mr. Fight Companion. I want to go through the whole card with you guys, starting with the prelims, ending with the main event. Let's get through it. It's already like it's midnight here. I've been literally watching pre-recorded fights of all these guys like a maniac. But I'm here. Let's do it. I finally got all the information in. Starting with the first fight of the first fight of the prelims, Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Carlos Leal. I've seen Fakhretdinov fight before. He fought, I think, the brother of that famous food review guy, Keith Lee. I think his name, the guy that Rinat fought was Kevin Lee, and he choked that guy out pretty bad. But Fakhretdinov is a really well-rounded Russian fighter. He looks good everywhere. He looks good with the striking. He looks good with his grappling. He's just very, very skilled in all facets of MMA. He looks really good. And he's fighting Carlos Leal. I believe this is Carlos Leal's first UFC fight. And he's got a good record. He used to fight in the PFL, so he's got a good record in the PFL. And he mixes it up pretty well as well. That being said, I still think that, changing from the PFL to the UFC, it's a big step up in competition, especially if you're fighting Fakhretdinov as your first fight. So I think this will be really difficult for Leal to win. I'm going to give it to Fakhretdinov. I think Fakhretdinov will basically outclass Carlos Leal in every aspect of the fight and win by a unanimous decision. I think the judges see it too, and they scored accordingly. So yeah, Fakhretdinov wins that one. Next up, we got Ismail Naurdiev versus Bruno Silva. Ismail Naurdiev, a decently well-rounded fighter. He's got good grappling. He's a bit better with his striking, but I still would describe him as well-rounded. And he's fighting Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva, we all know he lost in that controversial fight against Chris Weidman, where Chris Weidman was really just poking the fuck out of this guy's eyes, and Bruno Silva had to fall to the ground in agony, and somehow the ref counted it as a TKO. So, them's the break sometimes, and that's just what happened to Bruno Silva. But, despite that, in his previous fights, he's a striker with good power. I think he's got good power in his hands. His grappling is decent, but he doesn't go to it a lot. He's normally a striker. And I think he's got pretty good counter grappling as well. He's got pretty good takedown defense as well. And in this fight, I'm gonna go with Bruno Silva. I think Bruno Silva takes it. I think he'll be able to survive the grappling of Ismail Naurdiev. I think Naurdiev will get a bit desperate in this fight as soon as he starts to lose on the feet, and he'll start trying to take Bruno Silva down. But that's where I think Bruno Silva's takedown defense and counter grappling will shine, and he'll survive it, and he'll just piece Ismail up for the rest of the fight. So I think Bruno Silva wins it, and I'm gonna be a bit spicy here, and I'll say Bruno Silva wins this fight via TKO in the final round. Yeah, third round TKO for Bruno Silva against Ismail Naurdiev. And Naurdiev's the favorite. I didn't understand why. But anyway, next up, we got Farid Basharat. Yeah, Farid Basharat versus Victor Hugo. Farid Basharat, up-and-comer in the featherweight division. I mean, some of the best. His grappling is really, really excellent. I would really I think he's an extremely skilled grappler. His striking is pretty lackluster, but I think his grappling definitely makes up for it. And his leg kicks are good. But I think, his punches, his punching, his defense up top with the striking is pretty meh. It leaves a lot to be desired. So, I still think his grappling shines, and that's what makes him so dangerous. He's fighting Victor Hugo, and Victor Hugo is a striker. He just started. I think he was signed off of Dana White's Contender Series. He's a striker, and he's got some smart grappling as well. This guy knows how to grapple, and I think his striking is also pretty good. However, I think Victor Hugo is going to struggle in this fight against Basharat. I think there'll be little striking. But where striking would be in this fight, I think there's going to be a lot of grappling. But if there was to be some striking in this fight, I think Victor Hugo would have the edge in it. That being said, I think the minute they fight on the feet, Basharat will probably just go in for another takedown. So I think Basharat wins this via, relentless ground game. He just keeps trying to bring this fight to the ground and hold Victor Hugo there. Probably search for a submission. I don't think he'll get one. I think Basharat just wins this via ground control. Really just artistically getting those takedowns and utilizing the really skillful grappling of his to its fullest extent and winning using it. So I think Basharat wins this fight via unanimous decision, more specifically with ground control. I think the judges see the ground control and they score it heavily and they give it to Basharat. Next up, this is a really good one. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Chris Barnett, the legend, the Kung Fu master. Nzechukwu, seasoned fighter in the UFC, decent striker. He's got good power as well. Keeps his hands a bit low for my liking at times, but again, he's got power and he's a good striker, and he's going up against the Kung Fu master, Chris Barnett. We're talking about Master Shifu, Kung Fu Panda levels of awesomeness and of striking know-how and power and technique. This guy is a bona fide Kung Fu master, and he's back after being out for like a couple years. I've been longing to see this guy fight again. I missed his last fight, but I've seen the highlights or his fight from the fight that made him famous, the fight that made him viral with that spinning back kick he did. Beautiful work. I'm going to go with Chris Barnett. Call me crazy. Call me stupid. I know Chris Barnett is like 5'9" in a tall man's division, the heavyweight division. But I think Chris Barnett gets it done. I think I'm going to go with my heart with this one. And I say Chris Barnett gets it done. Yeah, I have it. Chris Barnett gets it done in the second round via TKO with a kick. Some Kung Fu kick he does. Something crazy, something spicy, something he just throws out there and just banks it with. So Chris Barnett via awesomeness. Second round. Next up, Abus Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira. What we got for this one? Here we go. Abus Magomedov. He's an okay striker, but he's got some good grappling. A lot of those Magomedov guys, those Edovs, those Ievs, all them Russian motherfuckers, man. Great strike, great grappling. All of them just grappled since they come out of the womb. And he's fighting Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira, I consider him to be a brawler. A really, really exciting fighter. Bruno Ferreira is the type of fighter that the UFC needs. Fighters who are willing to just go out on their sword in the first round and risk it all. That is Bruno Ferreira to a T. This guy, heavy-handed, lots of power. I would like to see more technique. He seems to really throw a lot of wild shit, but that's why I consider him to be a brawler. But he's very fun to watch, powerful, gets a lot of fights done in the first round. He did have that TKO. He did have that TKO lost. He did have that TKO loss in the first round, sadly to that one guy. But most of his fights are TKO wins in the first round as well. So I love Bruno Ferreira. I think he'll get it done in one. I think he overwhelms Magomedov with his brawling, just goes right at him and gets the finish in round one. So I'm gonna give it to Bruno Ferreira, the all-out brawler who takes out Abus Magomedov in round one. And I think Abus is the favorite in that one, which I don't really get because Bruno Ferreira is absolutely ferocious, this guy. Absolutely ferocious. Just gotta switch up the lighting here. A sec. Gosh. Oh, man. had a little break there, you know, little technical difficulties. Anyway, next up, Matus Rebecki, Mictebek Orobai. We got Matus Rebecki, pretty decent striker, good grappling. I haven't. There's not much we can see of him, you know, so far in the UFC. He's kind of just started out, but from what we can see, he looks good. He looks good. Like I said, he's got some pretty decent striking, and that grappling is there. And he's fighting Mictebek Orobai, a very mystical fighter in the UFC. Already a UFC meme lord. There's so many UFC memes about him because he looks like a guy from the Stone Ages. Yeah, I can't argue with him. He looks straight out of fucking Far Cry 5, was it? One of the Far Cries. The Far Cry from the caveman times, that one. But yeah, he looks like a fucking caveman. And he still, you know, nevertheless looks good. For what I've seen in his previous fights, he's a semi-okay striker with really excellent and strong grappling. This guy's grappling is really next level. He looks really fucking good there. Like I said, the striking needs work, but his grappling looks really good. However, I think I'm gonna choose this fight to make one of my risky picks. I'm gonna go with Matus Rebecki. Give me Matus Rebecki. Put the house on Matus Rebecki, man. Again, from what I've seen, his striking is pretty good, and his grappling is pretty good too. I'm banking on Matus Rebecki's grappling to be able. I'm betting on Matus Rebecki to utilize his grappling to survive the grappling of Mictebek Orobai, and just piecing up Mictebek on the feet. I think Rebecki keeps it on the feet, and pieces up Mictebek. He might even get a third round KO. I had him down for third round KO, but I'm going to switch it to a unanimous decision via striking. I think Matus Rebecki can get this done. You know what? Never mind. Fuck it. I'm going to go with what I originally said. Third round TKO. Matus Rebecki, third round TKO. He'll overwhelm Mictebek on the feet. He'll keep it off the ground. That's my risky pick. Next up. Was it the second to last fight on the prelims? Geoff Neal versus Rafael dos Anjos. We got Geoff Neal, absolute power monster, great striker, lots of power in his hands. He's fought some tough opponents and taken some L's, but he's still there. He's still pretty young, 34 years old. And he's fighting Rafael dos Anjos. Rafael dos Anjos, certified legend, former UFC champ, like almost 200 years old. So I'm a big advocate for age. And me being that, I'm going to go with Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal via second round TKO. I think he really just taps the old chin of Rafael dos Anjos and puts the old man to sleep. I love Rafael dos Anjos. I respect him. I respect all the UFC legends. But when it's time to retire, fucking retire. Consider your health, consider your age, and drop the fucking gloves. Rafael dos Anjos clearly didn't decide to do that. He's 39 years old. He's not exactly 40 yet, but he's up there in age, and around the 40s is the time where the legs don't move as fast enough, the chin doesn't hold up as strong enough, the hands don't move as fast enough, and that's just what it is. Time comes for us all, and it's already came for Rafael dos Anjos, and Geoff Neal's gonna piece this guy up. He's really fucking old, and like I say, he's almost like 300 years old. And that's why his chin is going to get tapped and he's going to go to sleep. That's really it. Next up, last fight in the prelims, Ibo Aslan versus Rafael Queta. Ibo Aslan. He's an absolute war dog, very durable from the few fights I've seen from him. And he's also got powerful hands that really hold up as the fight continues. So I like that from him. And he's fighting Rafael Queta, who I think this is Rafael's first fight in the UFC. I think he just switched over. And from what I've seen from his fights outside of the UFC, he's very deadly. He's a very, very skilled striker, a very good striker with really nice precision, and he's also undefeated. His kicks are very, very nice, swift, and sneaky. and they're powerful too. You let one of them rip to your body, and your fucking kidneys are gonna be aching. Your liver is gonna be aching. So I have to give this fight to Rafael. I think Ibo again is a really durable guy. He likes to fight the full 3 or 5, and he's also powerful too. But I think Rafael Quequera, he has the precision, he's got the timing, and he's gonna find something dangerous to throw in that fight that will likely call the fight early. But I'm still gonna be on the safe side with this fight, and I'm gonna say Rafael Quequera wins this fight via unanimous decision with his striking. I think he just damages Ibo for the full 3 rounds. Ibo again is durable, so I think he'll take it all and not, quit. And he'll just lose by decision because the judges will see how much damage Rafael is causing and how many points he's getting with his very swift and smart striking. So yeah, Rafael takes it via unanimous decision. Next up, we're finally on the main card, starting with Sharaputdin Magomedov, Sharabullet versus Armen Petrosyan. I made a video on this fight already, but we cover everything in the full card and prelim review. So yeah, here we go. Sharabullet. What can I say that already hasn't been said by me? He's a beautiful striker. He's got really, really precise striking, especially with his kicks. His grappling is still questionable, especially given his last few performances. But I think the striking is just really, really beautiful to watch. It definitely overwhelms the judges, or at least puts the judges in a state of awe. And it's really good for collecting points with striking. He's fighting Armen Petrosyan. Armen Petrosyan, I would consider him to be very durable, pretty much a war dog, decent striker. He's not too precise with his striking, but it's there and it holds up throughout the rounds. And he's got a pretty good gas tank too. He can really hang on and stay with it. I'm going to give this fight to Sharabullet. I think Sharabullet really just outclasses him on the feet. I don't think this fight will go to the ground. Armen can try to bring it there, but I think Sharaputdin Magomedov's ground. I think his takedown defense will have improved since his last fight. I think he will improve his ground game, or have improved his ground game before this fight. So I think he'll be a bit better. Could be wrong, but I think I put my money on him being better. So I don't think Armen Petrosyan will be able to bring this fight to the ground. I think Shar keeps it on the feet. He'll piece Armen up on the feet with his kicks, with his punches, and basically just outclass him and throw on a striking clinic throughout the whole fight that wins the judges over. And I think Sharaputdin Magomedov wins this fight via unanimous decision. And yeah, I think they'll give it to Sharaputdin Magomedov, via his striking. He'll just outstrike Armen Petrosyan and basically piece him up the whole fight. So yeah. Next up on the main card, what's up? What's next? Yeah, Lerone Murphy, Dan Ige. This is a good one. Some of these I didn't really expect to be on the main card, but they're on the main card anyway. So Lerone Murphy, up and comer in the featherweight division. We got a lot of really cool, powerful up and comers in the featherweight division here, but Lerone Murphy, well-rounded fighter, really well-rounded. Great striking, excellent grappling. He looks good, and he's fighting Dan Ige. Dan the man, the legend, the savage, Mr. coming off the couch with 4 hours notice. He's a legend, man. He's a badass. He's a BMF. But, sadly, he is basically a pocket boxer with not very long range. So I think Lerone Murphy can either beat Dan. He can both beat Dan on the feet and on the ground. I think it's really Lerone's choice where to really bring the fight. If the fight ends up on the feet, Lerone can really just keep his range and piece Dan Ige out from long range, because Lerone Murphy is pretty much way taller than Dan. Or Lerone Murphy can bring this fight to the ground and just dominate Dan Ige there. So it's really, it's really Leon Murphy by any way he wants, or Lerone Murphy by any way he wants. So yeah. But if you had asked me what I think specifically would happen, I think Lerone Murphy takes this fight via unanimous decision with everything. I think he outclasses Dan Ige in every aspect of MMA. He'll outstrike Dan Ige and he'll outgrapple him, And I think the judges will see that and give it to Lerone Murphy because of that. So yeah, that's what I think will happen in that fight. Next up, Magomed Ankalaev versus Alexander Rakic. I've been talking about Magomed for a while now. I made a couple videos on him because of his nonstop talking about Alex Pereira. And yeah, he's really just overlooked Rakic, and I think it's now up to Rakic to show Magomed why overlooking him is so futile to his health. Magomed Ankalaev is a very powerful striker. He's got decent grappling as well. And he's fighting Alexander Rakic, who's just really precise with his striking, and skillful as well. And he's really got some excellent grappling defense. Just really nice grappling in general. Yeah, I think Magomed Ankalaev has a bit of a weakness with his opening for leg kicks. That being said, there was a mentioning of that in the press conference, to which Magomed responded that he has fixed that issue. So I will take his word for it. And still, I think Magomed will win it. I think Magomed has to win it by knockout, though, or TKO, because, again, Rakic is very precise. I think he'll be faster than Magomed Ankalaev. And I don't know. I think he'll just be more skillful and more technical than Magomed. With that being said, Magomed has that power, so I think he'll be able to touch Rakic later in the fight, and sleep him. I think Magomed knocks Rakic out in the third round. I think I'm going to give it to Magomed Ankalaev via third round TKO, especially regardless of Alexander Rakic looking very technical and very swift and very precise. I think Magomed just breaks through all of that and lands a really good cross or a really good overhand that just sends Rakic flying. Well, not really flying, but sends Rakic to fucking Candyland or Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. So yeah, Magomed takes this one via third round TKO. Next up, Robert Whitaker, Khamzat Chimaev. This is a fight that we've all come to watch, we all want to see, and we're all watching this card for. We got Robert Whitaker, excellent striker, very good takedown defense and grappling defense. And yeah, a legend too, former UFC middleweight champion. He's fighting the living legend Khamzat Chimaev, the Wolf. I've made a video on Khamzat, a rather controversial one, about how I don't really think he's the same Khamzat as before. And he's actually mentioned that he doesn't think he's the same Khamzat as before. He has a son now, and he wants his child to look up to him. And he's come out with a more humble tone. And he just, he doesn't look the same. He doesn't act the same, doesn't really even walk the same. And that could prove to be a disadvantage for him or an advantage. We just have yet to see. That's one of those things that we just have to watch the fight to really see what's going on, because I don't really know what the fuck is going on. But we all know Khamzat was extremely good, is really good wrestling, especially his really good offensive wrestling, and is pretty good striking as well. I think he's a good striker with just really, really excellent wrestling, and really, really excellent, what am I thinking of the word here? Yeah, really, really excellent offensive wrestling. And that's why I think Khamzat is just so damn good. And that's why I think Khamzat will win this fight still. I think, even though he doesn't look like the same Khamzat that we've come to know and love, I think the same Khamzat is in there, especially I've seen glimpses of him during the press conference where Khamzat had that little scream and the little back and forth with that Australian reporter, where he told he wanted the reporter out of the fucking room. And he had a little back and forth with him, telling him to get the fuck out of here and stuff. I think Khamzat's still there. I think the original Mad Dog Khamzat is still there, and I think we'll see him come this fight. So I'm gonna give it to Khamzat. I think Khamzat wins this fight via unanimous decision, via ground control. I think Khamzat is gonna be able to get those takedowns. I don't think Robert Whitaker can stop them, because Khamzat just shoots and he attempts these takedowns at such really precise and smooth moments. Yeah, Khamzat Chimaev executes these takedowns at such precise and smooth moments that I think, you know, Robert Whitaker will not be able to stop them all, and probably won't be able to stop most of them. So yeah, I think Khamzat is going to be able to take Whitaker to the ground, hold him there, search for submissions, have him in a bunch of different holds, a bunch of different, you know, submission attempts. And I think that's because Khamzat has to. I don't think Khamzat can last on the feet against Robert Whitaker, because Robert Whitaker is just way too skillful with his striking. So I think Whitaker has a really good chance of piecing up Khamzat if he decides to stay on the feet. And I've got good news for Whitaker and a bunch of you Whitaker fans. Khamzat just said recently in an interview later today that he wants to strike with Whitaker, because a lot of reporters are telling him that, and even Whitaker was saying that, oh, Khamzat's going to wrestle me. It's going to be a wrestling match, and that's really not what the UFC should be about. Khamzat should, you know, strike with me, but I'm so prepared for Khamzat to wrestle me. He's going to wrestle me. He's going to wrestle me. All that shit. So, you know, it got into Khamzat's head, and now Khamzat is talking about striking with Robert Whitaker, which is very bad for Khamzat and for Khamzat fans. I really hope Khamzat doesn't do it. I think Khamzat should stay to what he's, you know, good at. He should stick to what he's good at and what he's known for. And I'm sick and tired of fighters thinking they can do shit that they're not known for or good at. So I really hope Khamzat does not strike with Robert Whitaker and goes right to the offensive wrestling and stays there with the offensive wrestling. But you never know. Nevertheless, I'm still going to go with Khamzat. Big Khamzat fan. I still think he takes this regardless of me being a fan. He'll wrestle Robert Whitaker to death. He'll hold Robert Whitaker to the ground and win this fight via unanimous decision, via ground control. So yeah, Khamzat takes this one via unanimous decision, via ground control. Next up is the main event. We are finally here. The main event, Ilia Topuria versus Max Holloway. This is what we've all been waiting for. I don't really have to say much because I made like 3, 4, 5 videos on this fight alone. And like I said, I love Max Holloway. I think Max Holloway is a legend, regardless of how this fight goes down. He's such a badass. He's a BMF, a true BMF. That being said, as strong as Max Holloway's chin is, he's getting up there in age, and his chin, and not really, no. Max Holloway's pretty young still, but his chin has been tested time and time again, and that cannot, you know, be good for his durability. So I think this is going to be the moment where Max Holloway's chin finally cracks. I think Ilia Topuria will knock Max Holloway out in the second round. Right? Yeah, I have Ilia Topuria winning by second round TKO. Ilia's boxing is way too good, and that coupled with his enormous amount of power, he's going to touch Max Holloway, and all Ilia needs to do is touch Max Holloway on the chin twice. That's what I've been saying. Ilia just needs 2 clean shots. 2 clean shots to the chin, and Max Holloway is out. I'm telling you right now. That's all it takes for Ilia Topuria. I think that's all it's going to take. Second round, Ilia Topuria moves forward. Max Holloway tries some crazy shit. Max Holloway finds himself against the cage, and Ilia knocks his lights out. You know, I hate that that's going to happen, but I really, really want Max to win, but that's just the way it fucking goes. Ilia is that good, and nobody can deny that. But I am going to end this video with Max's keys to success, which are to utilize his height. Max is so much taller than Ilia. Utilize your damn height. Kick him. Kick him like Islam Makhachev kicked Volkanovski. You can find Ilia's head. It's been found before. So what Max has to do is utilize those legs, feint and fake with the boxing, with his hands, feint and fake with your fists, to size something up with your legs. He's got to set up some big head kicks with the really good punching he's got. And I think he could really catch Ilia there and knock Ilia out. And that would be one of the greatest moments in UFC fucking history. So that being said, this is a long enough video already. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. This is my complete rundown of the full UFC 308 card. I love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, subscribe. I love you all. I'll see y'all in the next.